We continue to follow the latest developments out of New Orleans following the deadly truck attack on Bourbon Street that killed at least 15 people. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is with us at the White House now. Scott, a lot of information has been trickling in. Can you catch us up to speed on what new information we've learned about the attacker?
Now, Shamsuddin Jabbar, according to the FBI, had an ISIS flag as he was part of this attack targeting the French Quarter and engaged law enforcement by gun and was shot and killed in return fire. We know, according to our Houston, Texas affiliate, KHOU-TV, that law enforcement is seen outside a home or a property associated with Jabbar as the evening begins here as they conduct investigations. And we also know, according to law enforcement, a long gun was found at the site of this attack. And the videos we've seen so far show quite clearly the way this attack was conducted, with a truck going around a police perimeter right there into the heavy pedestrian section of Bourbon Street on a particularly busy hour of a particularly busy night, New Year's morning in New Orleans. The investigations are ongoing, and we know here at the White House, the briefings have been ongoing with President Biden, who returned from Wilmington, Delaware to Camp David today. We expect to hear from the president at some point soon with an update on the federal investigation. But as it stands right now, the FBI is the lead investigating agency, and they characterize this unequivocally, Lindsay, as a terrorism probe.
We have learned from the Texas lieutenant governor that it looks like the attacker rented that car in Houston via Turo on December 30th, potentially suggesting what law enforcement officials will be looking at in terms of premeditation or the planning that went into this. What reaction are you hearing from lawmakers both in Louisiana and across the country?
A uniform bipartisan prayers and thoughts and statements from federal officials, from state officials, and from members of Congress. And that's no surprise. But we did get an unexpected chance to hear from some of the local congressional leaders from Louisiana today at that news conference that was staged midday in New Orleans, including the Senator John Kennedy, the Republican, who says he's pleased the Sugar Bowl has been paused at least 24 hours, saying it's too much of a risk to have played that game tonight. And Troy Carter, the Democrat from New Orleans, saying, quote, there are cowards responsible for this attack, emphasizing the plural nature of that word, cowards, an ongoing refrain we've been hearing so much through this day, that there are multiple people believed to have played some role in this attack, not just Jabbar.
What more are we hearing from officials about the security and the response that we've seen?
We'll start off in New Orleans, where they say they're going to review any vulnerabilities that were exposed through this attack. We know from our CBS News reporting this morning, the security bollards that are supposed to be there to prevent vehicular attacks are being repaired, restored, or just simply reinstalled at that site. And that work is not going to be completed till February. An acknowledgement today from law enforcement, those bollards were not fully in place today or this morning when the attack was affected. We also know here in Washington, D.C., Lindsay, the D.C. police say there is a more visible law enforcement presence people will see, effective immediately. And they have those two enormous national security designated events coming in the next few weeks. On January 6th, on Monday, they have the electoral count certification at the Capitol. They put an enormous security presence in place around that event based on what happened 4 years ago. And of course, inauguration is a national security event with an enormous amount of closures and protocols and a parade that goes right here by the White House.
I want to get back to New Orleans, and you had mentioned the Sugar Bowl being postponed. I had asked Orleans Parish District Attorney Williams whether he was confident it would take place tomorrow or how he felt about it. And we were basically given no guarantees. Right now, we don't have any indication that the game won't take place tomorrow evening. But what other adjustments are being made by officials as a response to this attack? And maybe we're not privy to it because they're not publicly releasing that.
Yeah, that's right. Though this is a different part of town. I mean, this is a non-French Quarter, non-business district site. This is the Superdome in New Orleans, which, oh, by the way, will also be the host of the Super Bowl next month, another one of those national special security events. The governor of Louisiana was pressed on that question, Lindsay, during the news conference in New Orleans midday, and he says, what reassurance can I give you it's going to be safe? He said, I'm going to be there. I'll attend. Police have acknowledged some potential vulnerabilities in the French Quarter on Bourbon Street that they have to button up, and they know it. At the Superdome, there seems to be a better sense of the security parameters that are there for tomorrow's Sugar Bowl and for next month's Super Bowl.
Scott MacFarlane, we always appreciate you outside the White House. Thank you so much.